Let us stand for the invocation and for the opening hymn. Let us pray. O God, source of our courage, friend of our heart, teacher of our spirit, on this special day of memories and expectations, hear the hopes and fears of our lives and strengthen us to go out from this place to serve a world sorely in need of reconciliation, love, and justice. In this society where might often substitutes for morality and wealth for goodness, make us remember your requirements to do justice, to love steadfastly, and to walk our paths with humility. In this world where racial, ethnic, and sexual prejudice breed mistrust, oppression, hatred, and destroyed dreams, where depression and drugs enslave our children, send your Spirit upon us so that we may bring release to the captives and set at liberty those who are oppressed. In this fragile planet, threatened by war and plagued by killer diseases, make us healers, not destroyers, speakers of truth, not spreaders of fear. O God, on this day, put in our minds a new vision. Place on our lips a new word. Place in our hearts a new courage, so that your kingdom may come on earth. Amen.
I want to welcome you to the 157th commencement of DePauw University. And as we begin, I would like to say a word or two to this year's graduating class. As students at DePauw, you have been exposed to many new ideas. You have worked with a well-trained faculty. You have read the writings of learned people who represent wisdom and knowledge from the beginnings of civilization to these modern times. You have participated in self-governance, worked in many campus organizations. You've been exposed to the work world through winter term experiences and internships. You've been challenged in small classes, and you have been involved in much community service. From all of these experiences, many of you are now prepared to take your rightful place in jobs across our land. Others of you will attend many of the country's finest graduate and professional schools. As your undergraduate experiences at DePauw come to a close on this day, we take time out for a celebration together. While you wait for your name to be called and your degree to be conferred, take time to reflect on your accomplishments and offer your thanks to the faculty for their leadership in shaping your education. You have spent 4 years in the atmosphere of intellectual challenge, and the faculty has judged you worthy of the degrees we gather this afternoon to confer. Today we congratulate you on your academic accomplishments. But before we proceed, let us take note of another very special group of people, your families. Undoubtedly, your education could not have been possible without their support. Your families have nurtured you through happiness, disappointment, elation, and achievement. As we always do at DePauw Commencement, we would ask the families of this year's graduating class to please stand so that we can salute you with our applause. Would the families of this year's seniors please stand? Before we advance into the formal part of our program, I would like to make a few brief comments about Robert Giles, who along with Cornel West will be receiving honorary degrees today. Bob Giles is a Midwesterner, having grown up in Cleveland, Ohio. He is a 1955 graduate of DePauw and was an English major while at the university. After graduation, Bob has served DePauw as a member of our Board of Visitors, and he is a current member of the Center for Contemporary Media Board of Advisors. Bob has been a Kilgore counselor for the college newspaper, the DePauw, and a speaker for his 25-year class reunion. He is also a proud DePauw parent, having a son, Rob, who was graduated on this platform in 1990. Bob Giles is president of the American Society of Newspaper Editors, chairman of the Foundation for American Communications, past president of the Associated Press Managing Editors, a founding president of the Associated Press Managing Editors Foundation, and a trustee of Sigma Delta Chi Foundation. 2 newspapers Bob has served as editor have won Pulitzer Prizes. The Akron Beacon Journal in 1971 for its coverage of the campus shootings at Kent State University, and the Detroit News in 1994 for its disclosures of a scandal in the Michigan House Fiscal Agency. Mr. Giles has served as a Pulitzer Prize juror 6 times since 1970, and he will receive the Doctor of Journalism degree after the commencement address of Dr. West. Before we hear Dr. West's commencement address, however, I would like to call on Robert Hauck of the class of 1996 to bring you greetings on behalf of his class. Eric. Eric is the recipient of the Walker Cup, DePauw's award made annually to that member of the senior class who has done the most for DePauw University during her or his 4 years here. Eric is a double major in biology and Spanish. He's an excellent student, having made the dean's list every semester. He was a winner of the Turk Scholarship for Excellence in Spanish in 1995. In 1995, he was also voted the top DePauw Biological Sciences student. And this May, Eric was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa. He is a 4-year varsity letterman on the men's soccer team. He is a Bonner Scholar. He has played in the DePauw Symphony Orchestra, participated in the gospel choir, and been active in his fraternity. In addition, he has held many significant off-campus experiences, including a summer internship at Mayo Clinic, a study tour in Israel, and a medical mission trip to Honduras. Eric, please come forward to say your words on behalf of the class of 1996. Eric.
Well, we made it I'm most of all thankful that the Lord blessed us with a beautiful day to do this thing outside, so we don't have to sweat inside. So, I am representing, I guess, the senior class of 1996 as I speak to you all today. And as I represent the class, I guess in my preparation for this speech, I did what probably most of my classmates would have done in putting it off until the night before it was actually due. So that's how I prepared, I guess. I don't know. I am speaking on behalf of the class of 1996 when I greet all of the parents and the families of all the parents and the alumni and the professors and the faculty. And we want to thank you for coming today to celebrate this day with us and for as we celebrate our 4 years at DePauw University. Thank you for coming to share with us in this time. Our families and our friends have been supports for us in all that we've gone through here at DePauw for the 4 years, and we've seen and experienced a lot of change in what we've gone through, and our families have always been there for us, and so we appreciate that. This faculty and staff, you guys have poured your lives into us as DePauw students, and we appreciate all that you've done as teachers to challenge us to grow, to challenge us to study even when we didn't want to, and you caused us to be stretched in ways that we probably never thought we could be stretched, and you have done that in providing for us the opportunity to learn and grow as students. We, as a class of 1996, want to recognize the contribution that the faculty and the parents have made to our lives and the blessing that you've given us. Now, to my fellow students, I just want to say that as the Walker Cup recipient, I kind of mentioned this when I received the award, but I receive it on behalf of all of you as my classmates, knowing that I was involved in many activities, but at the times when I was on the soccer field, there was somebody else writing an article for the newspaper, or when I was taking an afternoon nap, there was somebody else studying in the laboratory, or when I was out hanging out for the evening, there was somebody studying for an exam or preparing for a tennis match or something like that. And so as a class, we've made it together, and it's been a successful 4 years, and I am no more special in the things that I've done than each one of you, and I'm proud to be a member of a class that's so successful in the things that they've done. So I want to thank you, class, for that. And we finally made it to this day of May 18th, and it's amazing that we're going to graduate and move on. And this day means a lot of things to many people. It might mean more schooling. It might mean freedom. It might mean more suit. It might mean a suit and a tie every day. But as we move on, we're all going to have different experiences in life. And I just want to share and challenge you as my students that though you might be coaching soccer in the future, or working at Abercrombie and Fish, or selling beach chairs on the lawn on the beach in Texas, or investment banking in Maryland, or whatever you're doing, that you follow your heart and be honest with yourselves. And be it for me, if you know me, to leave out God in one of my talks. And I want to thank God for His faithfulness in leading us to this day, and encourage you all to be honest and follow the path that God has for each one of you in your lives, and be open to His leading in your lives, and know that His faithfulness will lead us on to even greater accomplishments than what we've come up to this day. And so I want to thank the class and the school for your nomination, and recognize the Lord and His faithfulness and the accomplishments that we've all done. So thank you, Dr. Bonos. Thank you.
During the past few years, the faculty and student committee who work with me to choose a commencement speaker has maintained two criteria. First, we have wanted our speaker to be someone with a national reputation. And secondly, we wanted our commencement speaker to have some knowledge of this particular university. Cornel West certainly fits these criteria very well. He has a national reputation as a scholar, and he has spoken to our students and faculty on a previous visit to DePauw. In fact, as one member of this year's class said to me, "I'm glad we're having Cornel West back. He's one of the most inspirational speakers we've heard in our 4 years at DePauw." So today, Dr. West, it's a pleasure to have you back at DePauw University. Cornel West first came to the nation's attention when he was a professor at Princeton University. There he served as professor of religion and directed the program in African American studies. Dr. West is an honors graduate of Harvard University and taught for a time at the Yale Divinity School. Dr. West took his graduate degrees in philosophy at Princeton University, where he taught before accepting his current post at Harvard. Ronald Thyman, Dean of Harvard's Divinity School, has said, "Cornel West is the only person on the intellectual scene capable of inheriting the mantle of Reinhold Niebuhr." Another colleague has said about him, "Cornel West is a black John Dewey, in the sense that Dewey was a serious thinker who spoke to the issues of the day, a model that has been sorely missed from the American scene." And finally, Henry Louis Gates, also of Harvard University, also a national spokesperson for the African American community, and incidentally a co-author with Dr. West of the best-selling book, The Future of the Race, has called Cornel West, quote, "the preeminent African American intellectual of our generation." Please join me in welcoming this year's commencement speaker, Cornel West, a friend of DePauw and a distinguished national spokesperson. Dr. West.
Indeed, what a pleasure. What a pleasure. It is more than a pleasure and delight for me to return to DePauw University. It is a privilege and an honor and blessing. To the visionary captain of this ship, President Robert G. Bottoms. To the distinguished administrators and trustees, I should add sacrificial trustees who work so very hard to keep this ship afloat along with the leader. To the dedicated and devoted faculty, the loving and supportive relatives, and especially today, the dynamic class of 1996 at DePauw University. I extend to you congratulations. This is a very special moment. Very special moment for very special people, a very special institution. And I stand before you this afternoon as but a small part of a great and grand tradition. And each and every one of you are now part of a tradition, and the question becomes, what do you do with it? Because for me, I decided a long time ago that I wanted to be part of a tradition of struggle for decency and dignity and freedom and democracy and self-respect and self-determination. And the great T.S. Eliot, in his essay of 1919, I'm sure so many of the graduating seniors recall that famous essay entitled Tradition and the Individual Talent. He said what? He said, tradition is not something you inherit. If you want it, you must obtain it with great labor. He's absolutely right. Goethe went on to say, whatever you inherit from those who came before, you must earn it in order to possess it. So the first promise that I want to elicit from this class is that you will never forget those who came before. The foremothers and forefathers who gave so much, because you know that you sit where you are in part because somebody loved you. Somebody cared for you. Somebody believed enough in you so that you could project a sense of possibility. This tradition of struggle is one that forces us to raise the most fundamental question of what it means to be human, what it means to be modern, what it means to be American, what it means to be the featherless, two-legged, linguistically conscious creatures born between urine and feces that we are. And it is the problem of evil. How will we respond to specific forms of unjustified suffering? and unmerited pain and undeserved harm is the question raised by David Hume in part 10 of that famous Dialogues on Natural Religion, or raised by Voltaire in Candide, or Nietzsche in The Birth of Tragedy, of course, Toni Morrison in Beloved. How will we wrestle with suffering, pain, harm, even on this day of celebration and jubilation? Let us not forget that we are coming to the end of a ghastly century. A century in which we've witnessed unprecedented levels of barbarity and bestiality and brutality. The Nazism at the heart of so-called civilized Europe. The Stalinism at the core of so-called emancipatory Soviet Union. The European colonialism in the name of Christianity and civilization that would leave such scars and bruises on Asians and Africans. The Jim Crow and Jane Crow in America, the city on the hill. The patriarchy that leaves such wounds on women of all colors across social systems. The homophobia that loses sight of gay brothers and lesbian sisters, or all forms of ideologies and practices that lose sight of the humanity, be it the elderly or the disabled. What a century it's been, and yet here we sit in the sun. Because those before were able to come together to serve as countervailing forces to these institutional forms of evil. And believe you me, it's so difficult to wrestle with this problem of evil in America. The great Henry James once said America can be characterized as a hotel civilization. One of the reasons why he left, went to Britain to write his grand works. For Mr. James, what do you mean by hotel civilization? He says, I mean that America on the one hand seems to be great and grand because it has a democratic self-definition, but it also seems to be characterized by a culture preoccupied with comfort and convenience and contentment, with prosperity and pleasure and property. And no civilization can survive, let alone a democratic one, without wrestling with its own legacies of evil, be it legacies of white supremacy or male supremacy or vast economic inequality or ecological abuse. And we know, in fact, that democracies are so rare in human history and they tend not to last too long. They're usually short-lived. And when they begin to unravel, it often has something to do with two fatal viruses, poverty and paranoia. Increasing poverty producing escalating levels of despair. And the increasing paranoia producing escalating levels of distrust. No democracy can survive with increasing poverty producing despair. There will never be enough police or prisons to deal with increasing poverty and despair. And similarly so with paranoia, those walls of demarcation that divide us, the racial polarization, the chocolate cities and vanilla suburbs, the class fragmentation, the struggles at the workplace, the increasing power of management at the workplace vis-a-vis working people, the gender tensions, the sexual orientational frictions. And this is in no way a matter of political correctness. No, we're all against dogmatism and orthodoxy and rigidity. This is about wrestling with democratic possibilities and how we respond to forms of social misery in our world. I submit to you this afternoon, you young brothers and sisters are going off into a world and society. It is one of the most frightening and terrifying moments in the history of this nation. We're forced to deal with an unprecedented lethal linkage of relative economic decline for 80% of fellow citizens, undeniable cultural decay, and political lethargy. And yet those in the past had formidable impediments and obstacles. And they were able to muster enough vision and understanding and analysis and courage and sacrifice to meet the challenges. Every democracy must renew and rejuvenate and regenerate itself generation after generation, and the question is always, will they have enough vision and understanding and courage and sense of sacrifice? Will we be able to talk candidly and critically about the relative economic decline, the falling wages, the falling incomes, the sense of estrangement at the workplace? Will we be able to talk honestly about the increasing wealth inequality, the impact of the information and communication revolutions on the increase between the haves and the have-nots, or the have too littles? It is not a question of finger-pointing or name-calling of fellow citizens. It's a question of raising the issue of civic responsibility. Will we be able to deal with the undeniable cultural decay? My fellow citizen Dan Quayle, a graduate of this institution, tried to wrestle with the issue of undeniable cultural decay and talked about the decline of marriage and the family in trouble. Brother Dan Quayle had a point. I'm not sure I accept the wholesale argument, but he had a strong point. Cultural decay is very real in our society, and by cultural decay, what I mean is a distinctive feature of the decline of most civilizations we know that go back to the Sumerians of Mesopotamia and the Egyptians of northern Africa, and that is this: the relative erosion of the systems of caring and nurturing in our society that go far beyond family. It relates to civic association. It relates to the waning influence of churches and mosques and temples and synagogues and intermediate associations, wrestling with a market culture that evolves around buying and selling and promoting and advertising that makes it difficult to transmit non-market values like love and care and service to others and community and fidelity. Or even in our intimate relations, non-market values like sweetness and kindness and gentleness and tenderness. Push to the margins, and the zeitgeist, the spirit of our time, becomes at times more and more one of cold-heartedness and mean-spiritedness. How will we wrestle with problems of evil in such a way to keep alive the best of a democratic tradition in such a moment? Crucial challenge. Yet I believe that the class of 1996 could very well be up to it. To overcome the political lethargy, the fatalism, the pessimism, the cynicism that seems to be so fashionable and faddish these days. And more than anything else, we need something profoundly un-American, namely a sense of history, a very deep sense of history, a sense of history that's echoed in the works of the great American literary artists. Lady Jean O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night, wrestling with the problem of evil within the family context, or be it the great Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Will we be able to muster the resources requisite for the kind of democratic renewal necessary to keep this American project afloat? That, for me, is the fundamental question. When I look in the eyes of these young, talented, hard-working, fun-loving class of 1996, I say maybe we have a chance. But there are never any guarantees. T.S. Eliot put it well when he said, "Ours is in the trying, the rest is not our business. No one of us are messiahs. We will not save ourselves. We will not save our communities. We will not save America. We will not save the world. But we certainly can leave it just a little bit better than we found it." If with our sense of history, we can expand the scope of empathy accenting non-market values, not just like love and care and empathy, but parenting, friendship, support of others, companionship, and in the larger context, creating public spaces that we can enter without humiliation, such that citizenship has real content and substance, so that we view ourselves not simply as bearers of an identity or clients of a constituency or as consumers, but rather as citizens, as Democrats, small d, involved in the making and remaking of democracy in the face of the legacies of evil that still permeates our souls and society, our hearts and homes, then maybe we have a chance. So I say to the class of 1996, I don't want to overburden you on this sunny day, but if you believe the world is incomplete and that history is unfinished, that the future is open-ended, that what you do and what you think does make a difference, then maybe we can meet the challenge. Then on this grand moment in your own lives, you will remember for the rest of your lives. That you keep your heads to the sky, as Earth, Wind, and Fire would put it. That you keep your hands on the plow, involved in a variety of different forms of service, even when it takes the form of unadvertised service. No one sees it. The invisible work that keeps institutions and associations and families moving. And that you keep your eyes not so much on each other's inadequacies, but keep your eyes on the prize, something bigger than you, something better than you, situating yourself in a story larger than you, and a narrative broader than you, that can appeal to the best of you, especially at a time in which the worst of each and every one of us being accented. Maybe we have a chance. And I simply say to the class of 1996 that for those of you who are willing to meet that challenge, I'll be there with you, because I know what it's like to be so loved and cared for as well. Let us move. Let us work together. Congratulations. God bless each and every one of you.
It's indeed fitting for a college that has been nurtured by the church to hear such a fine message on Commencement Day. It's now time for the commencement ritual to begin. And I'd like to call on Ian M. Rolland, the chair of the Board of Trustees at DePauw University, to assist me. Mr. Rolland, these persons have been recommended by the faculty as having met all conditions for graduation from DePauw University. I therefore ask you, Mr. Rolland, as the chair of the Board of Trustees, to authorize me to advance them to their degrees.
Mr. President, the Board of Trustees of DePauw University, by its unanimous vote, now authorizes you to confer degrees upon all candidates, including honorary degrees, Bachelor of Music, and Bachelor of Arts.
I'd now like to call on the University Provost, Dr. Leonard DiLillo, to present the candidates for honorary degrees.
Mr. President, may I present Robert Hartman Giles, a 1955 DePauw graduate who has had a highly successful career in journalism and is recognized as an outstanding and vigorous leader in the field of journalism for the degree of Doctor of Journalism.
Robert Hartman Giles, you have distinguished yourself and brought honor to your alma mater through a successful career as a newspaper reporter, editor, and publisher. You joined the Detroit News in 1986 and currently serve as editor and publisher of that newspaper. You exemplified DePauw's tradition of producing leaders in the field of journalism. You have assumed substantial leadership roles in journalism on a national basis, and you have contributed greatly to the advancement of the profession of journalism in this country. You have accomplished this through service as president of the American Society of Newspaper Editors and in similar leadership positions with other journalistic organizations nationally. Also, the Scripps Howard Foundation awarded you the Distinguished Journalism Citation in 1978 for outstanding public service in the cause of the First Amendment. 2 newspapers have won Pulitzer Prizes under your editorship, and you were a Pulitzer Prize juror 6 times. You are truly a model and inspiration for DePauw students today. Upon the recommendation of the faculty, the Board of Trustees has authorized me to confer upon you, Robert Hartman Giles, the honorary degree of Doctor of Journalism. As a symbol thereof, I invest you with this hood and hand you this diploma bearing the great seal of the corporation and the signatures of the proper officials.
Mr. President, may I present Cornel West, who has distinguished himself as an educator, philosopher, and author, and who is widely respected as a leader and major voice in this country on African American issues for the degree of Doctor of Letters.
Cornel West, through your teaching and writing, you have demonstrated that philosophy is far more than an abstract discipline. In the best sense of the liberal arts, you have used your words to work to make the world a better place to live. As a professor of philosophy of religion and Afro-American studies at Harvard University, you have distinguished yourself as a respected opinion leader in your field. Previously, you instilled a new vigor in the Department of Afro-American Studies at Princeton University. The scope of your intellectual contributions is displayed in the 10 books you have written on the topics of religion, race, and philosophy. In particular, your recent books, The Future of the Race, Race Matters, Keeping Faith, Jews and Blacks, Let the Healing Begin, have met with much acclaim. In your writings and speeches, you emphasize the importance of and the need for individual development, responsible citizenship, and democratic actions in American life. These are the personal characteristics which all DePauw students should strive to achieve. Upon the recommendation of the faculty, the Board of Trustees has authorized me to confer upon you, Cornel West, the honorary degree of Doctor of Letters. As a symbol thereof, I invest you with this hood and hand you this diploma bearing the great seal of the corporation and the signatures of the proper officials. I would now like to call on Dr. Patricia Jones, Dean of the School of Music, to present the candidates for the Bachelor of Music degree.
Let the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Music please stand. Mr. President, it is a pleasure to present to you the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Music.
On the recommendation of the faculty, the Board of Trustees of DePauw University grants to you severally the degree of Bachelor of Music, which admits you to the fellowship of educated men and women everywhere. I now, therefore, present to you your official diploma bearing the great seal of the corporation and the appropriate signatures.
James David Agnew. Grace Patricia Almond. Joseph Edward Brown. Lisa Marie Capelin. Napadon Eric Chayabut, Mary Jennifer Deffenbaugh, cum laude. Cindy Ellen Detraz, Renee Michelle Dubuque, Mindy Michelle Fisher, Daniel Patrick Fitzgerald, Stephanie Ann Graham, Mary Elizabeth Hall, Robert John Hill, Alexis Page Mobley, Sean Lynn Pan, Christina Rankovich, Tara Lee Saylor, magna cum laude, Christine Kelly Steele, Robert Louis Tinnell, Rafael Francisco Toro Quinones, cum laude.
I would now like to call on Dr. Leonard DiLillo, Provost of the University, to present the candidates for Bachelor of Arts.
Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts please stand? Mr. President, it is with pleasure and affection that I present to you the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
On the recommendation of the faculty, the Board of Trustees of DePauw University grants to you severally the degree of Bachelor of Arts, which admits you to the fellowship of educated men and women everywhere. I now, therefore, present to you your official diploma bearing the Great Seal of the Corporation and the appropriate signatures.
Will the candidates please be seated now?
You'll have to read a little faster, Patricia.
Yeah, okay. You want me to do it here? Let me do it here. Those persons listed on the program whose names are not called this afternoon will receive their degrees in absentia. Eric Robert Hauck, magna cum laude. Elda P. Acevedo Estefania. Christian Alexander Ock. Andrew Warner Alden. Christina Clarice Anderson. Mark Stephen Anderson. Neil M. Anderson. Lisa Katerina Anderson. Carrie Lee Appleby. Nanajwa Sheba Asari. Amber Dawn Asher, cum laude. Jill Elise Bachman, cum laude. Philip Dale Baker. Sanjeev S. Balaji. Asha Winifred Banthia, cum laude. Jennifer Louise Barber, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Ann Bartlett. Sarah Wilson Bartlett. Bryce Wesley Barton. John Todd Bauman, summa cum laude. Gregory Randall Baywin. Sarah Philomena Beasley. James Johnston Bell. Terry Denise Bennett. Janet Elizabeth Benson. Lisa M. Bernal. Sarah Steeman Bernstein. Gregory Daniel Binns. Brian Lawrence Boak. Jeffrey George Bagda, summa cum laude. Carolina Bonilla. Julie Michelle Booth. John Andrew Bodkin, cum laude. Catherine Laura Boltinghouse. Alina Marie Bauer-Willig. Reagan Suzanne Boyne. Gwen Michelle Bradley. Brent Evans Breithaupt. Gerard John Brenneman III, cum laude. Eric Thomas Brew. Leslie Elaine Brock, cum laude. Jason Andrew Brashears. Cynthia Susan Brown, cum laude. Matthew Raleigh Brown. Frederick Robert Brown. James Purcell Bruckman, Jr. Toby Kyle Buckman. Stephen Howard Burr. Michael Lai Burke. Molly Lee Callahan. Jeffrey Keith Campbell. Fernando Joseph Caruso. Denise Carmela Castillo, magna cum laude. Timothy Edward Castry. Susan Dolan Chase. Juniata LaVey Childers. Laura Jane Christensen. Marcy Lynn Cicolella, magna cum laude. David Brooke Clark. Case Baldwin Clay. Douglas Scott Clayton. Rick Russell Clift, Jr. Rebecca Jean Clout. Thomas Meeks Cockrell. Elizabeth Ann Kaufman. Margaret Louise Colby. Michelle Latrice Coleman. Sarah Kathleen Collins, cum laude. Laura Michelle Connor, cum laude. Paul William Conrad III. Chad Michael Copper, cum laude. Catherine Ann Corey, magna cum laude. Jamie Kaylin Cox. Juanita Maria Cox. Susanna Jane Coy. David Edward Crook, cum laude. Kara Ann Cummins, cum laude. Melinda Ann Davis. Jennifer Tracy DeWitt. Kenya Teray Delamore. Jennifer Ashby Dellinger. Heidi Elaine Demetrio. Christopher Charles Dennis, magna cum laude. Sarah Sullivan Desmond. James Hicks Devlin. Derek Wayne Dice. Pim Susan Davidson Dorr. Abigail Lynn Doolittle. Amanda Heidi Drockelman. James David Drummond. Kimberly Jane Dundon. Cole Gillen Dunnick. Stephanie Page Durfee. Elizabeth Christian Earls. Allison Sims Eastland. Amy Beth Eberly, summa cum laude. Tracy Miller Ellis. Marion Jennifer Emily, summa cum laude. Megan Enke. Peter David Eshelman. Elizabeth Lynn Fellows, cum laude. Danielle Christine Fetters. Eric Roger Feist. Jean-Brett Fleuret. Aaron Noel Flynn. Eric Louis Foch. Andrew Wayne Fraley. John Patrick Fries. Katrina Michelle Freiberger. Andrew Jonathan Friesner. Patrick Joel Froelich. Jolko Edward Fuller, magna cum laude. Leanne Marie Gertie. Adam Galili Belfer. Stephen James Ganote. Sigrid Marlene Garavito. Mari Estrella Garrett. Brian Craig Gow, cum laude. Kevin Blaine Gow. Aisha Abina Gaither. Amanda Jane Gilbert. Gowan Mitchell Gilkey, magna cum laude. Beth Ann Marie Geisel. Gabrielle Marie Giuliano. Seth William Glickman, summa cum laude. David Joseph Glowacki, cum laude. John Joseph Goddard. Jennifer Francis Goggin. Angel Alberto Gomez. Rebecca Gomez. Yarimar Gonzalez. Stephanie Ann Gordon. Christopher Lee Gottbreth, summa cum laude. Meredith Ann Gould. Latoya Ilana Graham. Whitfield Gray III. Martha Stewart Grayson. Charles Alexander Green Jr. James Joseph Griffin. Bonnie Jean Grimes. Stephen Gary Grove. Nicholas Anthony Gustafaro. Elizabeth Susan Gunther. Meredith Lynn Goulden, magna cum laude. Nathan Ronald Guz. Helena Louise Guzman. Kimberly Jane Haas. Marlena Heidi Hagelstein. Ann Elizabeth Hain. Louis Samir Hakim. Jessica Aaron Haller. Allison Ann Hammerschmidt. Carol Jane Hand, magna cum laude. Brooks Slater Harding. Daniel James Hardy. Amy Bryan Harold. Neil James Hart. Amanda Meredith Haslam, cum laude. Douglas Fisher Hastert. Kelly Lee Hatcher. Michelle Lauren Hayes. Peter Martin Hepner. Andrea Hart Herbster, magna cum laude. Ivan Hernandez. Christopher Lee Hewitt. Juliette Lynn Hicks. Philip J. Hiscock. Kamala Jamia Hickson. Jillian Donna Hobson. Eric Nathaniel Haper, cum laude. Shauna Lee Paulette Holder. Ryan Thomas Hewlett, summa cum laude. Amy Jo Houston. Alenka Wren. Andrea Lynn Hughes. Jason Scott Hughes. Kimberly Ann Mika Hunter, magna cum laude. B. Chander Huselton. Stephen Warren Huss. John Thomas Inman. Ryan Matthew Jamberetz. Robin Michelle Jarmer. Amanda Elaine Jedlicka. Sheila Suzanne Jenkins. Jill Ann Jennings. Catherine Lee Joaquin. Gwendolyn Jane Johnson. Holly Krista Johnson. Jeremy Daniel Johnson. Scott Lynn Johnston, cum laude. Timothy James Caroli. Julie Marie Kiefaber. Timothy Edward Keating. Amy M. Keith. Anne Elizabeth Keller. Mariana Donnie Keller. Jean Anna Kelso. Magdalena Maria Kempa, magna cum laude. Joan Elizabeth Kennan. Roland Scott Keski. Thomas Andrew Capura II. Jason Detroit Kimple, magna cum laude. Angela Renee Kingsley. James Scott Kitchen. Jeremy Thomas Knopf. David Matthew Nose. Jennifer Ann Crick. Peter David Crone. Eric Everett Landon. Rosalie Nataki Landrum. Michael John Lepshinsky. Melissa Louise Larman. Christian Matthew Laurie. Michael Adrian Lawton. Amy Elizabeth Ledoux. Jennifer Jean Leach, cum laude. Joshua Michael Layton. Erica Lee Lindsay. Carrie Ann Lingefelter. Aaron Ray Linville, summa cum laude. Renee Yvette Little. Robin Lynette Little. Cheryl Ann Longerich. Scott Mayer Longnecker. David Antonio Lopez. Mary Ann Lottis. Amanda Diane Lotz, cum laude. Stephanie Ann Lowry. Aaron John Lucetti, summa cum laude. Stephanie Sue Lynch. Sarah Elise Lyon. Matthew Leitner Lyons. Earl Ray Macomb. Emily Lynn Macy. Megan Maria Main, cum laude. Arpitha Mari. Andrew M. Marty. Shelley Mazot. Susan Marie Mazer, cum laude. Matthew Patrick McCullum. Tiki Carmel McDonald. Kendra Lynn McAnulty, cum laude. Laura Jane McLarney. Diana Lynette McLucas. Matthew John McClure. Luke W. Metcalf. Jennifer Linda Medlock, cum laude. Richard Charles Mesky. Gail Elizabeth Meyer. Amy Jeanette Melovich, Kevin Michael Mendenhall, Melanie Claire Mendries, Sarah Jane Miller, Mary Elizabeth Mitchell, Stephanie Ann Mitchell, Emily Nicole Mitchum, Alma Rosalia Morquecho, cum laude, Amy Louise Mulligan, Brian John Murray, Dawn Michelle Musgrave, Roderick Gordon Musser, Mark Robert Myers, Jesse Lynn Miska, summa cum laude, Sheila Marie Nash, Elizabeth Catherine Neff, Amanda Christine Nichols, Melissa Brooks Nicholson, Joseph Paul Neiman, Annie Swope Nolan, Sarah Elizabeth Norris, Stephen Joel North, Lisa Marie Notariani, Erin Kathleen O'Brien, magna cum laude, David James O'Connell, Kevin Michael O'Day, Christian Foster Olson, Connie Lynn Ostler, Angela K. Owens, magna cum laude, Craig Neil Owens, magna cum laude, Kurt Allen Payson, Jessica Elizabeth Palmer, Jason Novak Pasilich, Kristen Barbara Patterson, Susan Mitchell Pavone, Melissa Erman Pearson, Lottie Ann Pell, Stace Allen Pell, Corey James Perdue, magna cum laude, Eric James Petroff, John Garrett Flieger, Heather Lee Phillips, Stacy Lynn Boysel, Melanie K. Polanski, Sylvette Deshawn Pope, Emily Marie Potter, Lisa S. Pratt, cum laude, Ellie Christine Prosser, cum laude, Christopher Dean Pulliam, Karen Elizabeth Quiroga, Amy Annette Reagan, Matthew Brandon Rager, Arifer Rahman, summa cum laude, Vijay Udiyavar Rao, cum laude, Jacqueline Elizabeth Ray, cum laude, Julie Diane Ray, Holly Jill Rich, Britton Delaney Rink, magna cum laude, Sarah Elise Ritzenthaler, magna cum laude, Andrew John Roberts, Kendra Dawn Roberts, Rebecca Cornelia Robertson, Tricia Joan Robinson, cum laude, Erica Kristen Rokish, magna cum laude, Leslie Elaine Rogers, Joaquin Jesus Rafael Rosario Cacho, Laura Ruth Rose, magna cum laude, Timothy W. Raudebush, Stacy Michelle Roush, magna cum laude, Christopher Thomas Rao, Daniel Ryan Roy, Donna Sue Roy, Samantha Suzanne Ruark, Ellie Taylor Runyon, Michelle Hannah Runzer, Allison Sean Russell, magna cum laude. Michael Andrew Salamone. Jeremy Damian Salinas. Kyle Justice Salyers. Virginia Louise Sampson. Aaron Benjamin Sanders. Joshua Kendrick Saunders. William David Saxby. Kristen Lynn Schaefer. Jill Thais Schmeckabeer. Got it. Okay. Christopher Bentley Schubert. Jody Ray Scott. Robert Reed Sendak. Stephen Jackson Setchell. Kasim Rashid Shuffy. Brian Patrick Shannon. Kathleen Jeanette Sheen. Chris Robert Shelgren. Brenda Lee Simmons. Heather Lynn Simon. Rebecca Lynn Simonton. Cornelia Livingston Simpson. Nandasile Sitoli. Jerry W. Smart. Lowell Stephen Smith. Michael Jeffrey Smith. Molly Catherine Smith. Lori D. Snyder, summa cum laude. Whitney Ann Summers. Amy Ellen Sonnenberg. Bradley Mill Spencer. Louise Renee Spivey. Jessica Aaron Staley, summa cum laude. Jeffrey Mark Stansky. Melissa Dawn Steach. Jennifer Sue Stedman. Ronald Lee Stiver, summa cum laude. Nathan Carl Stockberger. James Benjamin Stringfellow, magna cum laude. Nicole Lynn Sunkel, magna cum laude. Jennifer Lynn Swathwood. Holly Elizabeth Swift. Jennifer Yeager Tavares. Christopher Rogers Taylor. Erica Lee Taylor, cum laude. Melissa M. Terrell. Matthew Campbell Thayer. Demita LaShawn Thomas. William Thomas Thomason Jr. Sarah Beth Thompson, cum laude. Taishi Min Thompson. Brian L. Thornburg. Heather Ann Tierney. Alicia Ann Tipton. Gwen Elizabeth Tohill. Sarah Ann Toole, cum laude. Brian Matthew Topper. Emily Elaine Trent. John L. Tullis. Courtney Lauren Turner. Jason Scott Urban. Armel Nina Van Dorp. Chad Van Zylen. Sultan Varga, magna cum laude. Joshua Allen Vaughn, cum laude. Sarah Ann Wagner, cum laude. Lynn Marie Wallace. Amanda Elizabeth Walters. Matthew Thomas Watkins. Carol Campbell Watson, cum laude. Paul Davis Watson, Jr. Lauren Elizabeth Welch. Beth Ann Wesselich. Jennifer Lee Wesolowski, David Scott Wheeler, Tamika Nicole Whitehead, cum laude, Laura Nicole Williams, Ryan Charles Williams, Alice Marie Willman, cum laude, Maurice Thaddeus Wilson III, Scott Richard Wintermute, cum laude, Jonathan Todd Witter, Zachary Turner Westner, David Curran Wolf, cum laude, Amy Lynn Wood, cum laude, Jennifer Lynn Woods, Molly Jean Wolds, Eve Miranda Wright, Nancy Bird Wright, Kimberly Ann Yeoman, John Wallace Yoder, magna cum laude, Lisa Ann Zafer, Lisa Nicole Zapata, Scott Allen Saracey, Nicholas Bryant Zener, and Irma G. Sapita. Congratulations to all of our graduates.
Like the DePauw presidents who held this office before I held this office, I now read to you the same charge that has been read to graduating seniors for over 70 years. We read it every year because the message in this charge remains valid. Would the members of the class of 1996 please stand? In advancing you to your degrees, I have admitted you to the company of graduates of DePauw University and have made you members of the larger company of university graduates elsewhere. You have entered into a community entrusted with a noble inheritance. You have earned these honors. You are heirs of all the past. Men and women of rich mind have labored, and you have entered into their labors. Prophets and sages, scholars and scientists, poets and public servants have wrought with patience, and the abundant fruit of their toil is yours. It is yours to use, to increase, and to bequeath to your successors. We welcome you into this fellowship of seekers after truth and servants of righteousness. In the name of those who have gone before you, and of your daughters and sons who are to follow you, the university charges you to be strong, to acquit yourselves with integrity, and be loyal to your highest ideals. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. We charge you to hold your degree so it suffers no harm in your holding it, to hold it for the honest service of others, and to hold it with untarnished honor to yourself. You may be seated. Without quality faculty, no university could ever perform its work. Today, we recognize one member of the faculty who has 40 years of teaching experience at DePauw. He has provided the university with uncompromised effort in regard to the classroom experience. His great strengths have been the quality of his teaching and his intensive service to the university. He has served the university on many committees and served on them well because of his integrity, his sound common sense, and the humane manner in which he deals with all people. I present Nick Steele, a DePauw University citation which reads, This citation is presented to you in recognition of your distinguished service as a teacher, scholar, counselor of youth, and loyal administrator, which have contributed greatly to the cause of higher education and to DePauw University. Brant N. Steele, Professor Emeritus of Classical Studies, congratulations on your 40 years of teaching at DePauw. And now I would ask you to stand for the benediction and the singing of a toast to DePauw.
May God sustain you in all your works and in all your ways, make you humble, just, and true, guide you in the paths of justice and righteousness, and fill your life with love and peace. And may the blessing of God Almighty rest upon you and remain with you always. Amen.